another minute. So did you all get to go through the links that I've sent?
Ma'am, your voice is breaking.
So did you go through the link that I had sent?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So what's the questions? Any questions that you prepared? Anything? Any doubts?
Yes, ma'am. I had some doubts. Like you said to read the theories regarding regarding the manpower planning, ma'am. So the very first question I means what I felt as a doubt is ki, ma'am, is human resource planning and manpower planning both are the same thing?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, ma'am. And then there were some, I read about the theories. So there were there were several theories which I read, and amongst them, the resource based theory, the agency theory, and transaction cost theory were the three theories which I didn't get at all. And rest of the theories I got. And in that also, there were two, three doubts, if I could ask, if I'm allowed to
Yes,
ask.
yes. Please feel free to ask. Don't ask me the theories today because I've not prepared them well. And you can ask me any doubts, I'll be able to clear them.
Okay, ma'am. So first of all, there was a theory called motivation theory. So in that, it was said ki you have to means the gist was ki means as an HR planner, you have to motivate the employees so as to increase their productivity. So, ma'am, this I got, but what can be the means? Like one means I read ki by communicating performance feedback to employees or provide financial rewards, we can motivate the employees. But other than that, I wanted to know some other.
So, see, what happens is that every employee in the organization, whosoever is working, gets motivated by something. Some people are motivated by the money, which is called financial rewards. Right? It can be anything. One is obviously the salary for which they are working. Other things can be, related to salary, related to monetary rewards, can be a bonus. That somebody has performed really well, so we will be giving them a month bonus, a salary of month as a bonus. Then there are incentives, which is also assigned to employees in the organization. So incentives are usually based on flexible pay. We don't call them as fixed pay because they are not fixed for everybody. So suppose now you are five people who are attending the class. So suppose Apurva does really well, then Shreya and Vanchika. Then we assign her A plus marks in her performance appraisal, right? So this is what happens in the organization. So now we find out that Apurva is not really motivated by only the financial rewards because she likes to read also. She is more to, passionate towards social goals or challenging work. So what we do is we find out a way where we can include a lot of improvement plan or succession planning plan for Apurva, where we include these incentives. It can be a reward, a cash reward, which is money, obviously. The second can be maybe very challenging role which she really loves to do. Maybe a transfer to outside India branch which we have in the organization, or to any such branch where she can lead the organization as a branch head. So anything. So depending upon what their needs, employees needs, what their interest, what they are passionate about, all these related to this particular theory of motivation theory talks about that we all are motivated by something to perform better, so our productivity gets increased. So then imagine if I am in love with money, right? Just take an example, right? Like that, So what will happen is that people, my organization have found this, that I really in love with money. I'm motivated. While whenever we are there talking about the financial rewards of money or something like that. So then what will they do is they will obviously give me more financial reward, so that my performance, which is going towards the organization, is always on the point, or maybe more than what I have expected to do. So giving more than our potential. And these employees unfortunately becomes high potential employee. In HR jargon, we call them HIPO. So HIPO, which is high potential ka short form. So these becomes that. So how it is a part of manpower planning or HR planning is purely with that you can plan succession planning with these people. And what is succession planning? That today you have joined an organization as a manager, but because you are really good at understanding people, you are really good at making people follow you, you are really good at team management. So the company can see that you are doing individual work also good, you are managing people as well. So they will also try and put you into a leadership position. So that's succession planning within the organization. That organization creates a path, which is also called career path. But career path usually we follow outside the organization also. It's not dependent on कि हम एक ही organization में रहेंगे. But succession planning is planned by the leadership team of the organization for employees so that they can increase, they can grow within the organization. So Prerna amongst you is one of the example of that. So Prerna has joined this organization where she is working currently on a totally different role altogether. But somehow she started liking this particular role of HR and admin. And then she spoke to one of our old student who was part of YSI, who was working with her in this organization. And she really started talking about that she wants to make a shift to HR. And good part is that the organization also listened to. The founder of the organization is a very good friend of mine. So he also found out that Prerna can, whichever way, because she has been doing wonderful role in the past role also. So he has been very impressed with her. So when she told that she wants to do HR and admin now, he actually opened up that path for her because he knew that once she's doing this course, other than that also because she's so willing, she's so able to learn, her interest lies here in talking to people and making them understand. So they opened up that path for her. So this is also a very good example of succession planning within the organization. Right, Prerna? This is what happened with you. I hope explained well. Yeah. So yesterday she was not able to talk because she was in office. Today she's here. So we know each other because I was the one who hired her in that organization. So this is how the journeys happen in the organization. That organization opens up different kind of path for everybody. This can become your career path. This can become your succession planning, or this can become a part of the career development. So all these are HR jargons that you will obviously keep listening to when you are going into the organization or when we are taking these classes and teaching you all these things. So this is about motivational theory of human resource planning. Yeah, what is the next doubt?
Ma'am, I had a few doubts.
Yeah, yes, please carry on.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah, so since it's the HR manager's responsibility to recruit people, so if the organization fails to meet the goals, meet their goals, so is it solely the responsibility of the HR manager? Will he be totally responsible for it since he hired everyone and he's
Not
the planner?
really. Not really. See, one thing is to understand that human resource managers or the recruiters who bring the people in the organization are not the sole decision makers. Depending upon role, the functional head. Suppose you are hiring sales manager. जैसे हम कल बात कर रहे थे, right? So sales manager को hire करने के लिए HR manager would be a part of it. Recruiter would be a part of it. But major interview, technical interview will be taken by the sales head or somebody who understands sales really well. It can be the CEO of the organization, it can be the sales head of the organization, it can be the chief marketing officer of the organization. So they are equally responsible for taking and conducting the interviews and finalizing whether this person is suitable for the organization or not. Why the blame happens on HR is purely because when we are taking our interviews, because there is a separate HR round which happens, and not just one. Basically, there are two rounds which happens with HR. So one which is done by the recruiter initially, right, to find out whether their interest lies in the organization or not, what kind of qualification, whether their profile matches with the job description or not. Right. So this is what we do as a recruiter. Then second round happens with the sales head for sales manager. Then again third round happens with the HR manager, HR head generally, usually, to finalize about the salary, to see whether the cultural fitment is there, to see whether the behavioral competency जिसके बारे में हमने कल बात करी थी, whether that behavioral competency is there in the people or not. So the blame goes to HR purely because they conduct more than one round to finalize the person. And their responsibility is to tell somebody. So for example, in your organization, the sales head says कि नहीं मुझे तो रखना ही है इसको, I like him. And his liking is purely because of certain biases. अब वो biases क्या होते हैं, वो थोड़ा सा overcome कर जाते हैं कि why the skill and metric of the person is really really good. So we have to, as an HR, it is very important to understand that we cannot be biased about somebody. अगर मेरे शहर का है, I cannot be biased about that. उसका कोई गांव मेरे गांव से मैच करता है, we cannot be biased about that. उसका कुछ कुछ भी मेरे जैसा मैच करता है, so I am still biased about that. So ये गलतियां हो जाती हैं with everybody, and this is something. And this is why the training comes into picture. We train HR managers in a manner that all these biases slowly and slowly they start neglecting all these biases and start taking more logical decisions, right, on the metrics, right, that this person is really really good purely because he has the qualification, or he or she has the competencies, or he or she has the skills to come and join the organization and do the work, right. So the blame does not lie only with HR, it is both the parties, the person who has taken the technical interview and the person who has taken the behavioral interview as well. And how it can be taken care of is purely when the biases are not there. When you hire people purely on their skills and metrics, trust me, there are very less chances that you can go wrong. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions?
Yes, ma'am. If the eligibility is, can you hear me? Am I audible?
Yeah, yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, like if the eligibility
Yeah.
of a candidate should be on graduate level, and what if that person has a rest experience in, like, let's assume sales manager, okay, and he have a rich experience in sales and marketing. So is he still eligible for the post?
Yeah, why not?
But he's not graduate.
See, sometimes you have to let go of that thing if the person has the right skills and competence. Make a comparison that there are people who are graduate, whether they have the right skill and competency to do the job, and then you have this undergraduate who has not the right competency, right? I hired one of the ex-YSI student, right, from our last batch in my company. She was not graduate. Still, we gave her a chance, and she started performing okay initially. So this is what happens, that when you see that person has a potential to learn and perform really well, you give them chances. So you have to match, जिसके बारे में हमने कल बात किया था, कि you create a job analysis which is very good. So when you do a particular very very what you call it, fine research about what kind of job you have, what kind of role you have, and what kind of analysis you have kept ready for your company. Once that is ready, it is not a difficult thing to match that profile, somebody's profile with that skills, competencies, and everything. One or the other thing you can really overgo. If your company, if the company that you're working for tomorrow has a criteria that basic qualification should be graduate, then there can be a problem. Then you cannot hire somebody who's undergraduate. But again, depending upon situation to situation, managements can take a decision that they can hire undergraduates. Yeah, because government की तरफ से ऐसा कोई नहीं है that you cannot hire them. Okay. All right. Any other questions? Tripti, Shreya, Prerna, you've not gone through the link that I
Ma'am,
sent? Yeah.
ma'am, you have made it clear, ma'am. Mine was succession theory, which you have made clear.
Okay. You wanted to know about the succession. Good. Good.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Shreya, Prerna, didn't get a chance to go through the link.
Ma'am, actually, I just saw the recording for yesterday's class because I couldn't attend it because of network issues.
Hmm.
So I couldn't go through the document that I'll go through. Like I'll go through it today.
Sure. Good. See, because it's very important that whatever we are sending, as I told you yesterday before starting the class, that this is the first topic that we are talking. So we might give it a little more time so that you can understand this thing. But iske baad, whatever topics will be there, it will be very difficult to give you that much of time to understand. When the assignment is given to you, you have to do a lot of self-learning yourself. Self-study is very important for these classes. So usually you will get a week to prepare yourself. So tomorrow, Saturday, Sunday is the classes. Sunday to next Saturday, you have 5 days to prepare whatever is there. Right? So just take out. It takes 15-20 minutes, trust me. Not more than that. Before sleeping, if you can take out 15-20 minutes, read. I'll try and send you as many chapters as possible, which we usually teach in the MBA classes, so that it is really helpful for you. Or if you want to purchase a book on HRM, that would be wonderful. So TV Rao is one book that you can read. TV Rao sir writes really, really well. He is an IIM Ahmedabad professor. He is called as father of human resource management in India. He's the pioneer who started all these training institutes in India, a lot of HRM, NHRD he started. So his books are really simple, in very plain, simple English and really able to understand. He writes very good examples. And if you want to take up more international kind of a thing, then you can write Gary Dessler and Biju Varke, HRM. So Biju Varke sir is also from IIM Ahmedabad. Gary Dessler is an international human resource manager. So you will find a lot of case studies, which is global as well as India. So you will find that kind of a syllabus in that. Gary Dessler is little expensive book, around I think 375 or 400 rupees. TV Rao book, sir's book is I think 150, 200, something like that. So whatever is suitable for you. If you want to read in simple English, then TV Rao is good enough. You purchase these books. I think TV Rao sir ki book online version may be available. Yeah, but best is to buy these books in hard copy. It will give you the complete feeling. So then you can match up with whatever we are teaching here, and then you can go back and read those chapters from the book. Any other questions, Apurva? You said you had a lot of doubts.
Ma'am, many things you explained, like right now, while explaining others, I got it.
Okay, good. So all the approaches you have studied, right, in the manpower planning thing?
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. Let's start the PPT and let's take a look at it. Bad here. I'm traveling and I'm not in my state. Cannot use that fighter one thing today. What I'll do is I close my video so that you can hear me properly.
I think ma'am has left the meeting.
I am not to hold my video. I think my video is over. Yesterday we talked about three different things, right? We talked about power management.
Ma'am, you are not audible, ma'am.
Yeah, we can't hear you properly, ma'am.
No, ma'am, still your voice is breaking.
Hope it is better now.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
It's working. So I will not be able to show you the PPT. That's the only problem. But what I'll do is I'll send you the PPT tonight after the class so that you can go through what I am teaching, right? We can take notes right now. I think that makes sense.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. Yeah. So what we discussed about yesterday is basically three important things. One was job analysis. Why job analysis is really important in manpower planning. Then we also talked about supply and demand. The two models of supply and demand. And the third thing that we did was introducing you to the approaches of manpower planning. Correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So now there is a formula through which we can easily find out what exactly is the requirement of manpower planning, which will be required for the next year for organization. Because as you know, when we do planning, so the name like workforce planning, manpower planning, HR planning suggests that planning is always for the future. So this is also called, many organizations also give this terminology called manpower forecasting. So that you forecast in advance what kind of requirements you will have for the next year. So we talked about one formula yesterday about attrition and labor turnover as well as about productivity. But there is a very easy formula through which we can find out what exactly are the requirements, the supply of human beings that is required for the work that is required to do in the organization and what we can actually do with that. Right? So now what is that formula? We will see the current staffing level. What is our current staffing level, which is basically the current number of employees that is there in the organization. Minus projected outflow this year. Projected outflow क्या होते हैं? The people who are going to leave us in this year. So outflow matlab it can be maybe layoffs, it can be related to retirement, it can be people who have resigned and leaving the organization. The reason can be anything, but outflow is basically people who are leaving the organization. So current staffing level minus projected outflow this year plus projected inflow this year. अब जो लोग छोड़ के गए हैं organization को, you will obviously fill those positions as well. Now this will give you complete internal supply for next year. That's the forecasting. This is in those cases when you are not growing or thinking of growing the business or diversifying the business, or the business is going into different models. If there are chances that the growth model is going to be applied, or there are chances that the company is diversifying, या कंपनी किसी छोटी कंपनी को एक्वायर कर लेती है या किसी और कंपनी के साथ मर्ज कर लेती है, then these requirements will change. Right? So now source of inflows क्या होते हैं? हमने कल क्या बात किया था? क्या क्या source of inflows है? इंटरनल कैसे चेंजेस होते हैं ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के अंदर? एम्प्लॉइज के हाउ द रोल चेंजेस? ना भूल जाते हैं. How the role changes through transfers, promotion, right? Whatever cross-functional changes we have done. Correct? So ये सब बताते हैं कि आपके एम्प्लॉइज हैं अंदर. Correct? थोड़ी सी मूवमेंट होगी, but these people are there in the organization. Current staffing level क्या कहता है कि आज की डेट पे कितने नंबर ऑफ एम्प्लॉइज हैं. Employees out क्या कहता है? People who have left the organization. And सिर्फ वो नहीं होते हैं जो छोड़ के चले जाते हैं. अब नंबर ऑफ प्रमोशंस दैट यू हैव डन इन योर कंपनी, these positions are also open now. Suppose मान लेते हैं कि प्रेरणा was an operations executive yesterday. Now she moved to HR, so that operation executive position is still open, right? So that movement which has happened, whether it is promotion or cross functional movement, इसको हम कहते हैं. So that means there is a place which is vacant.
Ma'am,
Yeah.
ma'am, you are saying that the place is vacant, but here we are talking about the numbers only, like the quantity only. So that number means the place which has been vacant, again a place has also been occupied. So the number remains same, I guess.
No, it will not remain same. How will it remain same?
Within the company, one post has
Current
been.
staffing level means आज की डेट पे कितने employees जिस भी दिन हम निकाल रहे हैं from. And then we are projecting outflows this year कि कितने लोग छोड़ के गए हैं या जा सकते हैं. अब छोड़ के जाने वाले resignations का find out करना is little difficult. But कहीं किसी की रिटायरमेंट होने वाली है, किसी का प्रमोशन होने वाला है, some people you can lay off. There are chances some deaths also happen in the organization. So, मतलब it's very unfortunate thing, but this is how the calculations is being done. So projected out, then projected plus projected inflow of the year, that ये सब positions तो हैं ही हमारी जो हम वो करेंगे क्योंकि ये खाली होगी. Also the new positions that we were planning initially to hire. So it might change from year to year. Not necessarily it remains same. See, हर साल business क्यों चलाते हैं और these organization, how these organizations run. The organization does not run purely because they don't want to grow. There are chances that these companies also want to grow. So year on year growth के हिसाब से they hire a lot of people in this system. And when they hire new people in the system on year growth, suppose इस साल हमने सिर्फ 50 करोड़ का बिजनेस किया ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, करेक्ट. अब 50 करोड़ करने के लिए हमारे पास 100 एम्प्लॉइज थे. कल जो हमने जैसे हम बात कर रहे थे, so with these 100 people we did 50 करोड़. अब हो सकता है कि इस 100 एम्प्लॉइज में से 15 एम्प्लॉइज छोड़ के जाने वाले हैं किसी न किसी रीजन से. किसी का रिटायरमेंट आ रहा है, किसी का डिमोशन हो गया, कोई छोड़ के जा रहा है, किसी को बेटर अपॉर्चुनिटी मिल रही है, व्हाटएवर. So 15-20 employees are leaving. So your projected outflow for this year is 15 employees. अब क्योंकि आपका 50 करोड़ का टारगेट था इसीलिए 100 एम्प्लॉइज थे. अब नेक्स्ट ईयर का टारगेट विल नॉट बी 50 करोड़. एटलीस्ट कंपनी देखेगी 10% तो बड़ी बिजनेस को ग्रो करने का प्लान करेगी. तो 10% को भी अगर करती है तो 55 करोड़ से 60 करोड़ उसका हो गया टारगेट. तो अगर 50 करोड़ को करने के लिए 100 एम्प्लॉइज थे तो 60 करोड़ को करने के लिए एटलीस्ट 20 more people would be required. So 120 तो वो हो गया, 20 new people plus 15 people who are leaving. So 35 new employees we will require for the next year. That's how manpower plan. Correct? That's the formula. Right? Very simple, not really difficult. Usually जब हम जूनियर लेवल पे ज्वाइन करते हैं ऑर्गेनाइजेशन को, जो हम लोगों ने भी किया था, दे डोंट आस्क यू टू डू मैनपावर प्लानिंग. ये वाला ये थोड़ा सा लेट आता है. व्हेन यू बिकम लिटिल मोर मैच्योर, you start understanding the organization, start understanding government rules and all those things. But it is very, very good that you understand that how this formula is being calculated. So that imagine you join a very smaller organization. बहुत सारे startups हैं, बहुत सारी नई organizations हैं जिनमें लोगों को नहीं पता. The founder starts the organization, but HR ऐसा function है जो उनको समझ में नहीं आता है. They run away from this particular problem. So this is where you can showcase these guidance that we are teaching you right here in this particular classes. And this is how calculations are done, and this is how you can actually bring in the right? Correct? So that is what one thing is. So this is how workforce planning is actually done in the organization. Now workforce planning, the second part आता है, which is job analysis and job. इसके बारे में हमने कल ब्रीफली बात किया था. But how you can actually increase or how you can actually create wonderful job descriptions is all about how much research you have done about that role. तो अब हम रिसर्च कैसे कर सकते हैं, क्या क्या तरीके हो सकते हैं, क्या आप रिसर्च कर सकते हैं. सपोज यू हैव टू फाइंड आउट कि हमें एचआर एग्जीक्यूटिव को रखना है कंपनी के अंदर. सो एचआर एग्जीक्यूटिव का क्या रोल होना चाहिए आपके आइडिया. What do you think an HR executive should be playing a role? Prerna, let's start with you.
Recruitment, attendance marking, and like, yeah, these are the two functions that I can think of right now.
Okay. Vanshika?
Ma'am, I think initially to lead a team and to communicate efficiently. What else? I guess.
So initially there are chances that you won't get to lead the team. Even after coming directly from MBA institute, बहुत कम chances होते हैं कि आपको direct manager की पोजीशन जहाँ you are actually handling people. Majorly you will be given a role where you are working individually. So first, most of the companies see how you perform individually, and then they try and give you much better opportunities in terms of people management. Because people management is not easy, right? That is what you are learning. And resource management is the most toughest job in the world. Why? Because we are dealing with human emotions. Every mind is so complex, and imagine now you are dealing with 100 complex minds in your company. My first company, when I was there, we had 560 employees, around that. And we were 3 HRs in the organization. And we 3 have to manage these 560 people. One was HR head, and then 2 of us. I joined as assistant manager directly, and there was 1 manager. So just 3 of us and this entire plus payroll team to salary. So imagine 560 employees' key needs, requirements, motivation, performance management, productivity, training, development, career development, succession planning, exit. All these things has to be managed. But that comes the later part, management. So first role of HR executive is to do what? Most of the organizations today, in current scenario, they really hire people in 2 roles. One is for the recruitment, purely. So where you have to do hiring, sourcing, and getting people on board. Finding the right kind of fitment for the right role. Second kind of roles which are very common and popular are HR generalist. So HR generalist role is basically something that you can easily take up after completing this course. So HR generalist is basically who knows fundamentals of everything, starting from hiring, manpower planning, recruitment, performance management, training, diversity, जो भी हमारा course curriculum सब कुछ. So all these 8 chapters that we are going to do will help you become HR generalist in any job. Totally depending upon, like sir was saying yesterday, that totally depending upon your capability and your hard work. How much effort you're putting. Because faculty जब हम classrooms में होते हैं, school में या colleges में, एक ही teacher होता है जो हम सबको पढ़ाता है. 35-40 classrooms में होते हैं, but हम में से top कौन करता है? सिर्फ एक. Right? So same faculty, same content, but topper एक या 2 ही होते हैं. कैसे possible होता है? क्योंकि they put some extra effort, something extra, which nobody else has done. Correct? और कई बार ऐसा होता है कि स्टूडेंट्स की नीड्स को ही टीचर नहीं पहचान पाते. So you know, some students are like that. They don't like to read theory. They like more practical examples. They learn from actions. They learn from practicality. So depending upon need to need, every student has different kind of need. So that is what you're also doing. But totally depends upon your particular needs and interests. You can try. So HR executives
can be sourcing and recruitment executives, can be HR generalist. Third role can be there, but very large companies it is generally given. It is called employee relations. Or maybe on employee engagement. Can be either of them, employee relationship or employee engagement. So now employee relationship and employee engagement person, what they have to ensure that every employee in the organization is 100% engaged to do the work that is being given. They don't sit idle, तो gossips नहीं हो रहे हैं company के अंदर, rumors नहीं हो रहे हैं, because trust me, right now I am dealing with one organization, though I should not be talking on YouTube about this, but this is my current client. And here the problem is that some new females have joined the organization. Not just only females, there are one or two males also. And they are very new to the organization and they really love to gossip. किसी भी बात को किसी भी तरीके से घुमाते, मतलब proper. I have never seen in any of the organization people gossiping at such intensity. So they are so involved into gossip. And what has happened is because it's a startup, 50-60 लोगों की company है, so the gossips really move fast. Right? So what is the impact of gossip moving faster than smaller organizations? What do you think can be the impact?
Ma'am, the productivity will be low.
Correct. So number one is productivity is low. Another thing, the brand value also goes low. इस कंपनी के अंदर कि आप कंपनी के एम्प्लॉइज के लिए ही आप गॉसिप कर रहे हो, अलग अलग बातें कर रहे हो, सो दैट मींस द रेपुटेशन ऑफ दैट एम्प्लॉय इज गोइंग आउट. फैमिली मेंबर्स तक पहुंचे, फैमिली मेंबर्स से कहीं और बाहर पहुंचेगी, दूर दूर तक पहुंचेगा. सो द कंपनी का ब्रांड नेम इज गोइंग अवे, reputation is going away, people's reputation is going away. So gossips can really create that. So that role of employee engagement or employee relationship manager is basically that they ensure that every employee is working properly in those 8 hours when they are in the organization. So they ensure if they are idle, then they should be engaged in something. उनका रोल इंक्रीज कर देते हैं, उनको कुछ और इस तरीके से जॉब देते हैं या अपनी कोई कमेटी बना देते हैं. दैट many organizations have particular platform where they provide cafeteria or food services within the organization. So वो अपनी ही ऐसे जो भी लोग होते हैं जिनका ध्यान इधर उधर जल्दी भटकता है, थोड़े से नॉटी वाले स्टूडेंट जैसे क्लासरूम में होते हैं ना, these people are like that. So what they do is they make them the committee member. ऐसे मैम्स टीचर्स नहीं करते थे तो सबसे नॉटी और उसको क्लास का मॉनिटर बना देते कि एटलीस्ट this person understand that what this leadership role is all about. So this is what happens in organization, that we create a system where we make them a part of the committee. Now this committee will plan what will be the menu for next 1 month. So अपना बाकी का टाइम काम किया, जो ऑफिस का काम है, अपनी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी, जॉब रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी, जो रेस्ट ऑफ द टाइम है where they were sitting idle and gossiping, now they are busy in creating something concrete for the organization. So this is just one example that cafeteria है, तो इसलिए food menu बना दिया. There can be many other ways of engaging employees. Right? So this is how these 3 roles differentiates for HR executive at the entry level. तो जब हम obviously increase करते हैं, हमारा number of years of experience बढ़ता है, हमारी leadership बढ़ती है, management बढ़ता है, so then you can grow into different kinds of roles. Correct? So now let's coming back to the workforce planning thing, that what are the things that you should be knowing about. So you can take it as an assignment for next week. You can write down these questions that I am reading it out, though you will be finding it all in the PPT that I am sending you, but still it's better that you write it out. So number one is that we will find out why are people leaving the organization. Correct? Second is,
Repeat the question.
why are people leaving the organization? What makes them leave the organization? Second is, how can we save on the compensation cost? Compensation is basically the salaries, remuneration that we pay to an employee. Third is, should we have a culture where we are
Ma'am, please
paying-
repeat the question again.
Question number 2.
Yes, ma'am.
Question 2 is, how can we save them for compensation costs? Right. Number 3 is, should we have a pay for performance culture? What is pay for performance culture? Any thoughts on that?
Ma'am, if a person or if an employee is working very well or performing very well, so paying extra, like you said, bonus and stuff, maybe.
Correct. Yeah. So pay for performance culture is that totally performance only. Give them the fixed part which is essential for their requirements, their needs. उनको survive करना है, उनको basic salary या fixed structure देनी. But majority of the salary you should be giving or paying them so that they can perform really well. As per their performance, they should be paid. The next question is finding out who is at the risk of leaving next. How do we find somebody who is at the risk of leaving next the organization? कैसे पता करें?
Ma'am, he'll be not that much engaged in the work.
Yeah,
Yes.
very good. You can find out if people are not engaged, but how will you find whether they are engaged or not?
The work which is given to them is not done up to that level, which was means which they were means अभी उतने अच्छे से काम नहीं कर रहे हैं जितना पहले करते थे, उतनी प्रोडक्टिविटी नहीं है उनकी.
Okay. That's good. और कोई तरीका? How can you find out if they are about to leave?
Ma'am, maybe you get to know that they have applied somewhere else for job.
That is difficult to find out until unless you have good networks in a program.
Yes.
Your homework. So how can you find out that people are about to leave? One is engagement level, find out career. How about if the employees take too many leaves from the company? Does it give a sign that they are about to leave the organization?
Yes.
Ma'am, this happened with us like very recently. So yes.
Okay.
Also,
live
ma'am,
exam.
Also, ma'am, like they would be asking for an for an irrational increase in salary. I mean, which is not justified. They'll ask for
Yeah.
very much high
Absolutely.
salaries.
True. Yeah. And so these are few things that can help you find out. So imagine now you're finding it out right now in the first classes that it is so easy. It will take so much of time. Trust me. We take a lot of time to train HR managers to find out how and why their people are. So you can actually work it out in a manner that people who are about to leave the organization, there are chances that you find that out before. So you will be able to retain them in the system. Whether by increasing the salary, whether by changing certain things in the organization. A lot of people leave the organization because they are not happy with their manager. So once you get to know the reasons, you can easily do this. There is another term in HR that we call, which can be utilized at this level. It's called stay interview. So stay interview is basically done with people who are about to leave the organization, who are at the risk of leaving the organization. So what you do is you try to find out what is the reason why they are not happy with the company. So people who are taking leave, people who are absent, people who are asking for unnecessary things, people who are spreading activity in the system. So these are few of the examples which can give you the heads up initially, so that you can take the right kind of decision. Right? Then another question that comes is, are we retaining our best talent or not? Because एक चीज जो workforce planning में very important is retention of employees. You will hear this a lot of times when you join an organization. The CEO talks only about these things. My trained people are leaving. I don't want them to leave the organization, at least for 3 years. तो जब भी एक एम्प्लॉय ऑर्गेनाइजेशन ज्वाइन करता है, कोई भी नया एम्प्लॉय ऑर्गेनाइजेशन ज्वाइन करता है, उसके ऊपर आप कॉस्ट खर्च करते हो, नॉट जस्ट द सैलरी बट ट्रेनिंग कॉस्ट, क्योंकि वो 5-6 महीने लगाता है कंपनी को समझने में, अंडरस्टैंड करने। तो उस 6 महीने में आपने एक्स्ट्रा कॉस्ट दिया है, you have spent a lot of money, you have spent a lot of time, you have given them a lot of training, you have given them opportunity to go and find out and see what is happening in the organization. So आपने सब कुछ खोल के रख दिया उसके साथ, and now suddenly 6 महीने सब कुछ करने के बाद people leave the organization. So that means you are basically in the loss, because once you have paid the salary, you have spent so much of training, you have spent so much of on people understanding the system, and then they leave. 6 महीने के बाद तो उनका काम करना शुरू होता है. So that's an additional cost. So in order to ensure that this cost doesn't happen in the organization, what the companies should do is they should find out who are the best talents, who are the high potential people, the hyper ones that we were talking about initially. How can we actually sustain them or retain them in the system for longer? कैसे रोक सकते हो आप किसी एम्प्लॉय को नाउ ऑर्गेनाइजेशन?
Ma'am,
Offering a
by
hike.
increasing their
Yeah, Vanshika, go on. इन्होंने एक साथ बोला.
by
Yeah.
by increasing their compensation, maybe.
So one thing is simple, that we will increase their compensation. The most easiest thing. Yeah. What else? Yes, Apurva?
Ma'am, by providing by their career development, like providing them with more training or providing them more opportunity for themselves to improve, and also providing a good environment.
Yeah, very good. So environment is, yes, very important. Career development, not initially at the 6-month stage. Career development के बारे में पता होना बहुत, that if I have joined this organization, how I'm going to grow. That's really, really important for everybody to know. So that's one of the area. But career development की training और initial stages पे नहीं देनी चाहिए. That should start after at least the employee has spent 1 year. Yeah, Prerna, you were also saying something.
I was saying the same point, offering a hike.
Okay. So offering a hike is the very simplest thing that we do, because usually people are motivated purely because they want to get better money. It's been so many years, especially now. This is the time when organizations are opening up again after 2 years. So COVID ka pandemic time has gone now. So many organizations are opening up, and because for at least 2 years they have not paid full salary to employees. क्योंकि काम ही नहीं हो रहा था, बहुत सारी कंपनीज पैसे पूरे नहीं, सैलरीज भी पूरे नहीं. Now it's the time when companies should think of very good performance appraisal, good raises, so that they can retain the talent in the organization for long. Yeah. Next question comes is, where do I source my best talent from? Where do I source my best talent from? कहाँ से लेकर? From where do I find out the best talent that I'm searching for my organization? So what do you think? What are the platforms through which we can hire people?
Naukri, LinkedIn.
Correct. So
LinkedIn,
portals,
ma'am.
job portals are there. LinkedIn is there. What else?
High rect is there.
Okay.
Also, ma'am, for example, if you're hiring for a designing team, like a graphic designer, so Behance is a platform where they make their
Yeah,
portfolio.
their
So we
portfolio.
can
Correct.
directly recruit from there also.
Absolutely. Yeah. So these are few Behances for like creative people. It can be for art directors, creative designers, 3D designer, 2D designers. So all these people are really available at Behance. They create their portfolio. Similarly, there are many other tools, many other what do you call them, sites where they create platforms further. So IT people के लिए Monster is very
Ma'am,
hire them.
can't we do it from the like prestigious institutions like IITs or something?
Yeah. When fresher hiring is happening, then from institution direct. So that's called campus hiring. On-campus hiring is very important. Generally, सभी companies करती हैं आजकल. And then they train them so that they can be molded really well as per the needs of the. फिर next question एक और आता है, what training is most effective? So कौन सी training देनी चाहिए so that the employees really feel highly indulged, engaged in the organization. So then we decide and see whether the trainings that we are providing are absolutely as per the needs of the people or not. Yeah, all these 6 questions, 7 questions that I have just made you know. This is part of workforce analysis. जो आप सेकंड चैप्टर में पढ़ने वाले हो HR मैट्रिक्स. I am just relating it with your workforce planning so that you know in advance that how I can calculate and find out these 7 things so that our people are always staying in the organization and performing daily. Okay. Now, how workforce planning is done in the organization, most of the cases, जो सभी अभी हमने पढ़ा है, let's just revise that quickly. So, उसके लिए पहला question आता है, what does our current and historical workforce look like? What does our current and historical workforce look like? तो वर्कफोर्स प्लानिंग एफिशिएंटली एंड इफेक्टिवली तभी हो सकती है जो हमने पिछले 5 साल के ट्रेंड्स पढ़े हो. कुछ भी फ्यूचर के लिए फोकस करने के लिए हम क्या करते हैं, पिछला 5 साल देखते हैं एटलीस्ट.
Could you please repeat under what topic it is? I missed out.
It is workforce planning. Same HR planning, workforce planning, manpower planning, कुछ भी कह लो. इससे पहले वाले 7 questions थे workforce analytics. These 7 questions that now we are going to talk is under workforce planning. Then I will tell you the difference between. So the first question in workforce planning is what does our current and historical workforce look like? So historically हमने किस तरीके के employees hire किए थे और successful किस तरीके से हुए. We will study that. And then currently हमारे पास क्या workforce है और इससे हमें क्या फायदा. Talk. इसके अंदर अब हम क्या क्या स्टडी करते हैं. We study their demographics. कौन से रीजन से हमने हायर किया है, किस तरीके के किस एज ग्रुप में लोग ज्यादा हैं, कौन से लोकेशन से ज्यादा मिल रहे हैं, किस तरीके का बैकग्राउंड है उनका, पेरेंट्स फैमिली बिजनेस क्लास है या सर्विस क्लास है, उससे भी बहुत फायदा होता है. सो वी विल स्टडी ऑल दीज थिंग्स इन डिटेल सो दैट वी कैन सी वेदर व्हाट हैज मेड आवर कंपनी मोर सक्सेसफुल इन टर्म्स ऑफ हायरिंग, ताकि उन्हीं ट्रेंड्स को आप अगले साल के लिए यूज कर सकें. So that your hiring and sourcing becomes much more successful for you. For your आपका success rate अच्छा हो जाता है. Because hiring is like, people say it's a probability game, but it is not. Once you identify the company really well, when you know your organization really well, and you identify what kind of people have stayed with your organization for a longer period of time. So their interests, their hobbies, their demographics, we just spoke about, qualifications, कौन से कॉलेज से आए थे तो ज्यादा दिन टिके थे हमारे साथ. So all these things, छोटी छोटी चीजें लगती हैं but it creates a larger impact in hiring. And इसी को ही हम क्या कहते हैं, HR मैट्रिक्स कहते हैं. इसी स्टडी को HR मैट्रिक्स का. तो ये डेटा आपके पास अवेलेबल होता है, करेक्ट. एवरी एम्प्लॉय के बारे में यू हैव दिस डेटाबेस अवेलेबल विद, राइट फ्रॉम देयर नेम, डेट ऑफ बर्थ, एज, पेरेंट्स क्या करते हैं, कहाँ पास्ट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में काम किया, कौन सी सिटी से बिलोंग करता है, पेरेंट्स हैं, वाइफ है, बच्चे हैं. तो ऑल दिस इंफॉर्मेशन इज गैदर्ड विद. Now you need to know and learn in HR metrics that how you study this data so that it becomes useful for you. That is why you will say that everybody today is talking about HR analytics. Database तो हमेशा से ही बना रहा था HR, बट उसको पढ़ने के लिए या उससे डिसीजंस के बेस पे डिसीजंस लेने के लिए this is the new thing which has come up, sir. And why it has become so popular in last few years and now even currently, because of the availability of the technology. इतने सारे टूल्स आ गए हैं, टेक्नोलॉजी आ गई है, आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस आ गई है, विच सॉफ्टवेयर आर रेडीमेड अवेलेबल. आपने सिर्फ डेटाबेस डालना है, सॉफ्टवेयर ऑटोमेटिकली आपको रिपोर्ट निकाल के देता है जो भी आपको चाहिए. It has really created a very, very balanced approach to how you hire more people and you become successful in making your hiring last long. Second question आता है इसके अंदर, how do I capture and communicate changes to the work? कैसे कैप्चर करेंगे हम अपने चेंजेस और हाउ डू वी कम्युनिकेट इट टू द पीपल हु आर वर्किंग विद अस? दिस पार्ट ऑफ HR is called change management. So whenever any big or small changes happens in the organization, HR has to ensure that every information is being communicated to every employee in a nice way. Correct? And when this change is happening in the company, now change can be anything. For example, suppose you now want to bring in some software into your system. अब सॉफ्टवेयर तो आ गया है, बट यू वोंट टेल पीपल कि सॉफ्टवेयर के यूजेस क्या हैं, why this software is benefited for the organization, why it is important to learn and implement that software in the company. If you won't communicate that part to the employee, there are chances that you will find them very restricted towards change. Right? Generally क्या होता है, if suppose you have to make some change in you, or somebody tells you that you have to initiate this change, what would be your first reaction? Any change. हम क्या करते हैं जब भी हमें कोई भी चेंज करने को कहा जाए?
Ma'am, at first it's not that comforting. I mean, we feel like no, this change shouldn't be there. But once we are made comfortable with it, once we are made aware of it, so then we start accepting that.
So the initial reaction is resistance, correct? Every human being, no matter who, no matter what, we are always there. No, we always resist making any changes because we really love our comfort zone. Everybody loves that. This is how the human brain functions. But the moment we realize is that this change is important for our benefit, then we start getting to know about it a little bit more. The more, like Apurva said, the more you become aware about why this change is helpful for you, the more chances that you are going to make that change happen. Correct? So this is what happens in the organization. So the only key to making a good change in the company is communication. That's why the question also says that how do I capture and communicate changes to the work? So now the communication can go in various ways. There is an internal communication team which is generally there in the company, comes under marketing mostly, but HR also plays very crucial. Second is training and development. Is one area through which you can communicate change. Then आता है आपका third, what will the skills and resources cost us? जिनके ऊपर हम पैसा खर्च करने वाले हैं, people who we are going to bring in the organization, उन skills को लाने के लिए या उन लोगों को लेकर आने के लिए what kind of cost we have to bear? We talked about it yesterday also. That it's very important that you have a right job description in front of you and you have 2-3 people who are matching that job profile. But if one is going over above your budget, then obviously you're not going to hire that person. So you will going to hire somebody who fits the profile also nearby and also fitting into your budget. So it's very important that the cost fund budget, whatever you call it, has to be managed very tactfully by every resource person in the company. People generally say कि HR बहुत कंजूस हो जाता है company. You know, we always get this kind of feedback. आप लोग बहुत कंजूस हैं, you don't spend money. But what happens is, suppose you're getting similar skill, आपने अपना बजट रखा एक पोजीशन को हायर करने के लिए, से मान लेते हैं 50,000, correct? That 50,000 per month you will pay the salary of this person for this skill set. Now similar skill set you find out suddenly is available for 32,000. So directly you're saving 18,000 rupees for your organization. You're not compromising on skills, you're not compromising on competency, you're not compromising on anything, just because there are people who are available. The better your resourcing, the better your sourcing and hiring is, there are chances that you can save the cost of the company. Now this 18,000 rupees can be utilized. So for example, you find another resource who is really good, but आपका budget 50,000 ही है. But this resource now is coming in 65,000. So एक resource से जो आपका 18,000 बचा वो आपने दूसरे resource को देने के लिए use कर. So this is how the entire budgeting and saving on the cost really is helpful. And finding out that each position is going to cost us this. Workforce planning का meaning कि आपने cost भी साथ साथ निकाले. Not just the number of employees, but also how much they are going to be costly. Not costly, I personally say invest, because you are investing in people. आप अच्छी investment करते हो तो अच्छे returns भी मिलते हैं, right? So this is an investment that you generally put for people, bring the right kind of talent in. Then next question आता है, what skills and locations do we allocate people to support the business? What skills and locations should we, I'm repeating, what skills and locations should we allocate people to support the business? अब आपने सपोज मान लेते हैं कैंपस हायरिंग की बात कर रहे थे, अब यू हैव हायर्ड सो मेनी पीपल फ्रॉम कैंपस हायरिंग, कोई स्किल नहीं है, क्वालिफिकेशंस है. Skills are basic skills which are there, communication, presentation, all these skills are there, but not really something which is extraordinary to perform the job. तो आपने 6-7 लोगों को रख लिया अपनी कंपनी में, freshers, they are there. Now how will you ensure that इसको कौन सी स्किल पे काम सिखाया जाए, और how do you ensure that they should be placed at the right location so that they perform really well? कैसे पता करें?
Ma'am, we will allocate them some work and we'll see how they're performing in that particular task, and based on that we are going to allocate and identify their skill set.
Correct, very good. One is very simple, this is what we do. We will give them a project to work on, we will see how they perform during that project. It can be a smaller project, 3 months, 6 months, and then we will see how. और क्या कर सकते हैं? What else can be done?
We can also take their opinion, like if suppose they want to learn some kind of skill, or they tell that I am good at, I will be more better if I am provided the chance to learn this skill, and I'll be good at it maybe.
Right, that can be done also. Why not? Good. What more?
मैम I think communicate करना उनके साथ.
हाँ, communicate करके क्या पता करेंगे? What will you find out?
मैम in which field he is interested, उसके वजह से फिर हम उसे उस फील्ड में स्किल मतलब करने के लिए, स्किल सीखने के लिए उसके इंटरेस्ट के अकॉर्डिंग उसे वर्क देंगे.
Yeah, we can do that. That's right. That's what Apurva also said, right? That we will find out what exactly are their interests. But how do we find out their interests? Just by talking to them? Do you think it is that easy? अच्छा, how many of you are satisfied कि हमने जो 11th 12th में stream लिया था that is right stream for you today? Anshika, you are satisfied with whatever stream you have chosen? Science, art,
Yes,
commerce,
ma'am.
whatever?
I chose bioscience, but now I'm in arts, but still I'm satisfied because I got to learn so many things about biology.
But still you're not utilizing that. So that is not really
Yeah.
an interest, correct? So you're not utilizing, so that it's a waste. Those 2 years, whatever you're studying right now, it's basically going into that direction, right? Apurva, what about you?
Yeah, ma'am. I was from PCM background, but now I am in. But I don't call it a waste, maybe because it has given me a sense of like it has given me a sort of technical. Maybe I am a little bit technical due to that. I find like I find my approaches to learn something different from a person whose background is just purely of
Who's not from? Okay.
art.
Yeah. Yes. So you have found out that how PPM is built. Correct. That is also it. Vanshika will also find it. Maybe she can join some company where they are making biotechnology products. She becomes an HR in a biotechnology company. Then all the information that he had studied in 11th 12th will be useful. See, nothing study-wise, nothing goes waste. Why I'm asking this question is as per the interest. We followed our interest and chose some streams in 11th and 12th. Trust me, 60% of India, that's a problem, that we generally follow our parents' guidance. उन्होंने बोला पीसीएम लेना है या पीसीबी लेना है या साइंस लेना है कॉमर्स लेना है, and we follow them blind. They also don't conduct any test. We also do not ensure that we conduct any test. It's a very psychological matter. Finding out फिर आपकी personality कौन से area में ज़्यादा अच्छे grow कर सकते. Right? Today also, you might have taken this decision again on maybe intuition, maybe by somebody's guidance, some किसी की mentoring पे आपने HR course तो join कर लिया. But how are you sure that this HR course is really meant for you or you are meant for the HR? उसके लिए हम करते हैं psychological test. We conduct psychometric test which helps in find out people's interest. आपकी जो personality है उससे personality पे आपके क्या क्या areas of work match करते हैं सबसे ज़्यादा. And that is the reason one of a very popular tool used by organizations when they are hiring the right candidate in the organization is psychometric. Again, psychometric test cannot be done by just random people. It cannot be. You need to get training into psychometric assessment, then only you can conduct these tests for the organization. There are similar, जैसे अभी हम course कर रहे हैं, YSI का, there are many such courses which are available, which gives you complete understanding of how a human psychology works, हमारे personality traits क्या हैं, कौन से again they are not 100% accurate, but 90, 85, 90% they are accurate. Disc profiling is very, very popular method. And disc profiling is something which is available free of cost on internet. So you can search and try and do your disc profiling. It's called DISC. DISC, disc. Short form is disc. So disc profiling assessment, there is a site called 123test.com. I hope I'm right. Remembering 123. Otherwise, I'll find out and I'll write it in the WhatsApp group. But so far, I'm sure that it's 123.com and they have these free tests for disc profiling. They won't give you complete detailed about what is your assessment, but at least उतना दे देंगे कि आपके personality के हिसाब से कौन से job options आपको मिलेंगे. So that is really helpful, and this is what we do in the organization. We create our own psychometric test And then we find out whether the people we are hiring, if they pass those tests, are they really useful for the organization? And then on that basis, we give them skills and locations. And locations की क्यों बीच में बात आती है? Imagine now, suppose Vanshika has always been south, हमेशा गर्मी में ज़्यादा रही, right? And suddenly you put her to Jammu and Kashmir. अभी तो सर्दी के कारण ही she will not be able to perform. आधा दिमाग तो इसी में चला जाएगा कि ठंड कितनी है, because it's an extreme weather. That is what happens with you, right? And this is what I'm telling you. This is the real life examples. This is what people generally transfer people without even giving that thought and all those things, because हमारी ट्रेनिंग थोड़ी ना मिलिट्री ट्रेनिंग जैसी होती है कि हम हर सारी चीजों के बारे में उनको ट्रेनिंग देते हैं, see that they will go to any location and they will survive. Our trainings are not that in organizations. So that is why it is very important to find out the interest and skills of people and give them the location. Geographically and demographically कहाँ वो अच्छा perform करे. Another example can be कि suppose अब humidity area में आपने किसी को भेज दिया जिसको अस्थमा की problem. अब cities like Mumbai and Goa will never be suitable for somebody who has asthma, because humidity is all across very high all 12 months. जहाँ humidity high हुई chances हैं कि asthma attacks भी ज़्यादा बढ़े. So these are very smaller things, but these are really very helpful in finding out it. तभी HR का role इतना critical है. तभी हमारे लिए it's important that we find out each and every detail about the job. We cannot remember all those things, but at least our database can capture all. Right? Next question आता है इसके अंदर, how will turnover impact our future work? How will our turnover impact our future work? बहुत सिंपल है, अगर हमारा टर्नओवर कंपनी का अच्छा होगा तभी we will be able to hire more workforce for the organization. That's when we can plan to grow the organization. अगर कंपनी अभी से लॉसेस में जा रही है तो देयर आर चांसेस दैट एक आध साल तो हम सस्टेन कर लेंगे जो करंट एम्प्लॉयज हैं, बट लंबे समय के लिए व्हाट हैपन, अभी आजकल आप न्यूज में सुन रहे हो एड्यूटेक एकदम इतना बढ़ गया, बायजूस के बाद वेदांतु आ गया, सब आ गए, खूब सारी कंपनी खुल गई एड्यूटेक, बट व्हाट हैपेंस now they are closing down, they are shutting down all these startups. Today is the fourth startup which has shut down their operations in India. Why? Because एक के पीछे कॉपी करके उन्होंने कंपनीज तो खोल ली बहुत सारी, but they didn't know कि टेक्नोलॉजी और जो कोर्स मटेरियल है उसके अलावा भी बहुत सारी चीजें काम आती हैं. सो मी टू कॉपी जहां भी हम करने लगे कि हमारा इम्पैक्ट क्या पड़ेगा कि हम लोग फेलियर होना शुरू. So it's important that you create a niche for yourself in the market for your product. तभी आप देखोगे बहुत सारे शैम्पू ब्रांड्स बहुत सालों से चल रहे हैं, सब एक दूसरे को कंपटीशन दे रहे हैं, बट ऐसा कोई ब्रांड नहीं है उनमें से जो पुराने चलते आ रहे हैं कि बंद हो जाए. क्यों? क्योंकि कंजम्पशन इतना ज्यादा है, पीपल आर स्टिल कंज्यूमिंग. तो मी टू प्रोडक्ट्स नहीं है पहली बात, और सेकंड ऐसा डिमांड है उन सब चीजों की कंज्यूमर ड्यूरेबल में. जनरली क्या होता है कि हम बहुत ज्यादा लॉयल नहीं होते प्रोडक्ट्स, जहाँ फास्ट कंज्यूमर एफएमसीजी की जहाँ भी बात होती है, not many people are loyal towards one particular product, so they keep changing. आज सनसिल्क यूज कर लिया तो कल पैंटीन करके देखेंगे, पैंटीन करके देख लिया क्लिनिक प्लस करके देखेंगे, हेड एंड शोल्डर नहीं आया चलो इसको ट्राई करते हैं. सो दिस वी आर नॉट 100% वेरी लॉयल, दैट्स वन थिंग, unless we find out that it's really suitable for our health. So that is why it is important to study what is impactful, what is making a creativity in the market, what really creates an impact for a longer term. तभी आपको product launch करना चाहिए. So this is how this question. Last question for workforce planning: how can I compare different scenarios to save compensation cost? How can I compare different scenarios to save compensation cost? right? Same example है जो already दे चुके हैं कि you have to find out that if you are getting a similar skill set or competencies in some other person who is already getting less salary, best is to hire from tier 2 tier 3 city. अगर आपका ऑफिस मुंबई गुड़गांव tier 1 cities में है, right? tier 1 cities are generally metro cities called. Metro cities में है, from metro city if you hire people, there are chances उनका standard of living ज़्यादा है, so the cost would be higher, salary high देनी पड़ेगी. If you hire the similar profile, similar skill set, similar competency from tier 3 tier 4 cities, chances कि वही बंदा आपको कम salary. That's the right way of sourcing the people in the office. Chances ये हो सकते हैं communication skills उतना ज़्यादा strong नहीं जो metro cities में. But communication is something that you can actually make them understand. It's a learnable skill. Over a period of time, people generally learn. Yeah, Prem.
Ma'am, basically, I just wanted to know, like, if you're hiring from tier 2, tier 3 city, and we are based in a tier 1 city, so people will relocate, right? So generally, because they're relocating, then they ask for, more money. Like, this is what I've seen.
You have to see, you have to give them. अभी वो currently क्या ले रहे हो? Tier 1 के हिसाब से वो salary बहुत कम ले रहे हो. अगर आप tier 1 में 35,000 दे रहे हो किसी employee को, chances है कि वहाँ पर आप 15-18,000 ले रहे हो. So even if you give them a good hike, 20%, 25%, they still be at 27-28,000. Still you are saving cost. The hike is also good for that person. They are happy to relocate and they still find it really. This is a new technique that we are using, and last 2 years it has wonderful results. Pre-COVID times and then now post-COVID. Especially for IT, we tried this, and trust me, we found huge amount of Bangalore. Say we were hiring for one position for Python and Django combination. Everybody was asking for 15 lakhs, 16 lakhs, 20 lakhs, 30 lakhs per annum ka package. And we started looking into Nasik, Coimbatore, smaller cities. Then we found out they the same skill set, same number of years experience, similar kind of programming. Sab kuch acha hota hai. People were just getting 5.5 lakhs as their salary. And even if you give them good raise, 12-13 lakh rupees mein, they were very happy to come to Bangalore and work and stay. Okay, from 5, their salary has increased almost 100%, more than 100%. And they were happy to relocate, and they were happy that they are into a very good branded company. So you have to find out what is the interest of the people, and you have to compare different scenarios with each other for ensuring that hiring is also happening at the right stage, in the right manner. Also, you are saving on some costs. The same budget जो बच जाएगा compensation cost में, that you can utilize for many other purposes. उन्हीं की training में आप लगा दो employees को train करने में once they are inside the organization. So that will give you a chance that these people stay in the organization for longer term period. Correct? What is the time now? Want to take a break for 5 minutes? This is the time.
Yes, ma'am.
So let's take a break for 5 minutes and let's go on.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, you're back. Shall we move ahead? Shall we start?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Share. Can you see this?
Yes, ma'am.
So these are the 7 steps of human resource planning, which is really important. So this is also mentioned the same link that I have sent you yesterday, the PDF basically. Though it may not be in the pictorial format, so I thought I'll just take you through it, right, before we end the class today. So number 1 is basically how we do HR planning in the organization is to identify and see what are the objectives of the organization. Why is organization being run? What are the targets that we have to achieve? What are the goals that the organization has to achieve within a year, more than that, and then going forward, right? So number 1 is that. Second step that comes is inventory. जो हमने formula में भी पढ़ा, that what is the current human resource you have within the organization, right? Third is forecasting demand. That what exactly is the total demand for the coming year. Identifying. Fourth step is estimate gaps. हमारी supply productivity increase करने के लिए, अपने targets को achieve करने के लिए, we have the current resource. What are the gaps that more resources tomorrow? So you have to identify that gap. Then you create a plan out of it. The plan should consist of what kind of people, what are the job roles they have to play, what are the interests they have, what kind of skills and competencies they have. Also, finding out how are we going to source these people in the organization. Correct? Any doubts so far? I can't see you, so you have to say yes or no.
No, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
No मैम मतलब समझ नहीं आया या सब ठीक है, सब समझ आया?
Ma'am, no means I understood.
Okay. All right. So you also understood. Then next is to implement that plans in that whatever you have created, now you will try and create focus on what are the things, what are the strategies you are going to implement or formulate so that your plan implementation is happening in the organization completely in a proper manner. Also, whenever we create plans in organization, we also keep a flexibility. Flexibility in the sense that there are chances that this plan may not be 100% going to be taken forward. There are chances that कुछ occupational hazard हो सकते हैं. There are chances कि कुछ भी hazards हो सकते हैं. For example, COVID actually became one of the very beautiful example in this. Right? Companies ने कितने plan बनाए थे. जब COVID आया तो everything got to a stop. सब कुछ बंद हो गया. Organizations बंद हो गई. बहुत time के लिए कुछ भी नहीं कर पाए. So company has to prepare themselves for such kind of contingency, such kind of differentiation, such kind of government policy changes, anything, any external change that can happen. So they should keep some flexibility that plan is there, but the implementation may not happen 100%. उसके लिए फिर वो अपना प्लान बी रेडी रखते हैं कि इन केस द इम्प्लीमेंटेशन नहीं हुआ तो हमारे गोल्स अगर 100% अचीव नहीं हुए तो 80% में भी हम लोग सेटिस्फैक्टरी लेवल पर पहुंच जाए, राइट. देन नेक्स्ट स्टेप इज मॉनिटर, कंट्रोल एंड फीडबैक. नाउ इट्स इम्पोर्टेंट कि आपने इम्प्लीमेंट तो कर लिया है अपना प्लान, अब उसकी मॉनिटरिंग एंड कंट्रोल भी आपको ही करना. So that is in the hands of again human resource manager along with functional heads, that they have to see the people that you have brought inside the company are now performing properly. Their productivity is coming optimally. ना हम एक बहुत फ्रेज बहुत यूज करते थे हम एमबीए के अंदर हमारे क्लासरूम्स में, ऑप्टिमम यूटिलाइजेशन ऑफ रिसोर्सेज को कहा जाता है फ्रेज को. सो ऑप्टिमम यूटिलाइजेशन ऑफ रिसोर्सेज मीन्स दैट जो भी रिसोर्स है आपके पास उसका 100% आउटपुट आ रहा हो आपके पास. So that's when your potential comes out really well. So इसीलिए monitor, control and feedback. Feedback is very important, that people you have brought in the company, they know you because you are the one who are the representative when you hired them in the organization. So it's important that on a continuous basis, you keep taking their feedback, right? Either through surveys, call it employee satisfaction surveys. Sometimes we call it just employee survey. Through these surveys, we can actually find out that whether these people are really happy in the organization or not. They are 100% engaged in the organization or not. Right? And that's when it will give you, again, the cycle will continue and go on. That again, we will analyze objective. There are chances that feedbacks might open up different kind of areas altogether, and you have a need to hire more people in the company. Right? So this is one slide that I want to talk about. Anything that you want to ask about this slide? I will send you this slide along with the picture.
Ma'am, I wanted to ask about forecast demand.
Yeah, what is the question that you want to ask? Not
I didn't
understood
get
forecasting.
the basics of forecasting. Like, what is it basically?
So forecasting is basically finding out what is the gap that you have in the organization. Also, in order to see that what is the kind of growth path that the company will have for the coming years, and then finding out the resources for that. Now, iska ek bahut beautiful example hai. You know, the example is basically that a lot of IT companies wanted to, were working on various skills so far. And suddenly artificial intelligence become a boom. Everybody is talking about machine learning, artificial intelligence. Even in human resources, we are now using artificial intelligence. So AI has been used extensively. IT companies may be, non-IT companies can be. So this has become a very important skill for people to learn and understand, at least which is related to their own functions. So जैसे अगर हम HRM पढ़ रहे हैं, तो HRM में artificial intelligence का क्या role होने वाला है, that is very important for us to understand. So that it can open up. अभी आज आपको शायद उस area में job नहीं मिलेगी, but over a period of time, because artificial intelligence is also the future of the company. This is a skill set which is going to remain in future as well. So there are chances that if you learn this skill today, the more you practice it, you will be able to land up a very good career advancement to this area. So forecasting is not done just for a smaller period of time, but keeping in mind कि आगे 5 साल में क्या-क्या opportunities. Right? Another example can be, what are the sectors which flourished during COVID times also? कौन-कौन से sectors? जब सारी दुनिया बंद करके बैठी थी अपना business, ये 3-4 business थे जो actually extremely level पर, अच्छे level पर flourish कर रहे थे. What are these sectors?
मैम एजुकेशनल प्लेटफॉर्म.
Education sector में online education sector.
Yes, ma'am.
Suddenly became, correct? What else?
Ma'am, the sanitizers and masks.
Correct. So a totally different business altogether. Sanitizers and masks have become a regular part of our lifestyle even today. और going forward, अगले 3 साल तक जब तक इसके कोविड के थोड़े बहुत हो रहेंगे, there are chances that we are still going to use. Very good. What else? What are the sectors? एक major जो बहुत ज़्यादा business किया है.
Pharmaceutical sector.
Pharmaceuticals and hospitals.
Yeah.
So hospitals were the ones who were flourishing. I mean, we should not be saying it, but their business was actually growing, and everybody else is not doing it. Right? So why not to join such organizations which have that kind of an impact that even if everything else is closed, these businesses are still going to flourish, at least in India. क्यों? Because हमारा population इतना ज़्यादा है. So hospital sector is one sector which is never be going to be out of business. Right? So why not join certain companies like that? Why not join pharmaceutical companies? Why not join education sector into this online business? Because this is going to be the tomorrow of the world. हम थक गए हैं क्लासरूम में पढ़ करके 2 साल में बच्चों ने सीख लिया है that learning can still happen if they want to do or in an online if they are really serious. तो 60% बच्चों के साथ अच्छा नहीं हुआ है, but what 40% has found out is the niche. Right? So it is always important to see that forecasting when you're doing, forecasting is happening for the longer term, not just for 1 2. Similarly, जब आप skills लेकर आओगे, skills मतलब human beings, human resource लेकर आओगे company के अंदर, you are always think from the perspective that how this person is going to create an impact in my organization, minimum for 3 years, maximum for 10 years. And what are you going to do with this person if he or she is there within the organization? 3 साल में क्या करने वाले हो, 10 साल में उसको कैसे? How will you retain that person for that? So challenge सिर्फ एक नहीं है how to bring it. Challenge is also how to sustain them, retain them in the organization for long. Right? So with this, manpower planning is almost done. I am sending you one case study also today in the group. Right? Go through this case study. How case studies, I don't know whether you have ever read case studies before or ever worked on case studies before. I'm just going you a little brief about how you solve case studies. So case studies, जैसे इसका नाम बताता है, case study is basically a case, a real life case, which has already happened. And somebody has already resolved this particular case. We are discussing these cases purely because to understand how these cases has created an impact on the organization. और जो उसका impact आया, उससे हमें क्या learn? That's one way of solving. Second way of solving case studies, that you have a real life problem with you, already been solved in the company, in any other company. Now we are studying it so that we can see how you solve this particular problem. We want to see your interpretation. We want to see how good you are into solving such problems if it comes out to for you. So this case that I'm going to send you is one of those cases. It is on workforce planning. It has already happened in an organization. They had already found a solution. It's a very old case. 5-6 साल पुराना. And we are not mentioning the right name of the company. जो इसमें नाम दिखा है, it's just a fake name, just to give you an idea. And now you have to solve this particular problem. इसके अंदर 4 questions हैं which you have to answer. Right? And these 4 questions are purely on the basis of what you have studied so far in manpower planning, these 2 classes, and the things, the chapter that I sent you, and whatever is written in. So, read the case properly. Point कर लेना कहाँ पर. Read question number 1. Then try and see where the answer lies in. जैसे comprehension passages होते थे हमारे school colleges में. You've solved comprehension passages. This is the similar thing. You have a paragraph, a case. There are 4 questions. You have to find out the answers. So some logic you have to build for yourself through the understanding of the topic workforce plan. All right. Don't worry. There are no right and wrong answers. That's the best part. That is why I said we just want to see how you put in your methodology. What is it that is in your mind that you can put across to this case? Because there are chances कि जिसने solve किया होगा उसने इस तरीके से solve ना किया होगा. There can be many more answers to the similar questions. Right? Do you believe that? एक क्वेश्चन का एक ही राइट आंसर नहीं हो सकता है, और भी हो सकता है.
Yes, ma'am.
So this case is also that. Case studies का मीनिंग यही होता है. तो IIMs में और सिम्बाइसिस में पढ़ने का मतलब अच्छे इंस्टीट्यूट से MBA करने का ये फायदा होता था कि हमारी सारी पढ़ाई केस स्टडी मैक्सिमम जितना भी बुक होती थी हमें दे दी जाती. You have to go through the books yourself. से concepts clear कर दिए जाते हैं, and then you have to solve these case studies in the class. Prepare a presentation, group presentations, इकट्ठे मिलकर, अकेले, in any which ways, and then you used to present in the classrooms, right? So faculty के साथ discussions होता है पूरे class. So 3 hours lecture purely on discussing this and finding out what can be the various solutions, so that you can understand the methodology, how you can solve one particular problem in different area, different perspective. So classrooms में तो 20-25 students होते हैं, 30-40 students होते हैं. यहाँ we have 7-8 students, so we will ensure that at least 7 different perspectives will come out. So next class we will just do a case study discussion for at least half an hour, 40 minutes. Then we will move on to the next topic, source. Right? And in between, you have any questions, feel free to ask. Prepare your questions thoroughly. Don't be afraid of asking any number of questions. Even in the group में मेरा number है, you are shying of asking in the, you can ask me personally also at any point in time. See, the only thing of learning is that the more questions you ask, the more inquisitive you are, the more curious you are about something, there are chances that you are going to get good skills and knowledge of it. Right? We might not give you, as I said, 2 घंटे के 4 घंटे के lecture में manpower planning खत्म कराना is a challenge. But we still have done that thing. But the more you will read, there are chances that more new questions will come. So next Saturday, 2 hours class में, first 15-20 minutes, we will see if you have any doubts and clarifications and questions. Then half an hour, 40 minutes, we will take through the case study, and then we'll start source. All right?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And थोड़ा हंसी मजाक किया करो, थोड़ा सा light feel किया करो. Don't feel so tensed in the class. हार्दिक सर तो बहुत सारे जोक्स सुनाएंगे क्लास तो चलती है. He keeps talking about various things. He keeps making students laugh. So get little lighter. It's all right. पढ़ने तो आए, but let's enjoy the sessions. That's the most important. Chalo, see you on next Saturday. Have a great week ahead. Best wishes.
Thank
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you, ma'am.